All right, it's time to have some fun now with relationships. We're going to put the relation back into relational databases now. In the previous lesson, we saw that we had 3 tables in this database, the album, performers, and songs tables. Each one of those is set up now with a primary key or a field that will contain a unique identifier. And then some of those fields appear in other tables as well. So that's how we can build the relationship, join the 2 tables by the common fields. So to create the relationships, the first thing that we need to do is close up all the tables. It's hard to create the relationships and save that relationship if the tables are in use. And right now you can see the songs, performers, and album tables are all open here. So I'm going to right-click on the Songs tab. It doesn't really matter which tab you right-click on, and select Close All. There we go. Up at the top, you'll notice that I'm using Music Library 5B. Now, if you're jumping to this lesson, that's the name of the database you want to open. If you're continuing on from the previous lesson, you'll still be using Music Library 5A. It's all the same stuff. Now we need to create the relationship between those 3 tables, so we're going to go here to the Database Tools tab on the ribbon and give it a click. Right below that, you'll find the Relationships button. Perfect. When we click that, the Relationships tab opens up. But for the very first time only, the Show Table dialog box will also show up. Now we can create relationships between tables, between queries, and both, but we haven't got to queries yet, so we'll save that for later and just concentrate on the tables for now. There's our 3 tables in this database, album, performers, and songs, and all we need to do is get them from here to here. So with album already highlighted or selected, I can click the Add button and you can see that table gets added. I'll click Performers and Add, and a shortcut, I'll just double-click Songs to add that one as well. So once I've got them all in there, I can close this dialog box, and I've got my 3 tables. 2 of them have scroll bars indicating I'm not seeing all of the fields, so what I'm going to do is just click and drag until I see them all. Perfect, just like that. The other thing that I need to do is just move these around a little bit. I'm going to move Performers over here, Songs in the middle, and that way it's going to look a little bit neater when we join these tables up. You'll see what I mean in a second. So how do we join them up? How do we create the relationship? Well, it's pretty easy actually. We know that album ID is the primary key here. We see the key in the album table. We also see that same field over here in the songs table. And it's spelled exactly the same way. So all I need to do is click and drag from the key right on top of the second album ID field and release, and the Edit Relationships dialog box will appear. So you can see a relationship is being created between the album ID fields, one from the album table, one from the songs table. Down below you can see by default it knows to create a one-to-many relationship because album ID in the songs table is not a primary key. And that means that one-to-many, I can have one ID in the album table and see that album ID many times in the songs table. So that's perfect. All I need to do now is enforce referential integrity. I'm going to click this checkbox. We're going to talk about this in detail in a couple lessons from now, so we'll just leave that be, but it does need to be turned on. It'll all make sense a little bit later on. Now we can also look at the join type. So what happens when we take tables that already have data in them and start joining them like this? Well, I'm going to click the join type button, and you'll see I've got 3 options for join properties. Only include rows where the joined fields from both tables are equal. Well, I know that my album table is full of data, but the songs table doesn't have anything in it yet. So maybe option 2 will be better. Include all records from album and only those records from the songs table where the joined fields are equal. That sounds like what I want. What's the third option? Include all records from the songs table. I don't have any. And only those records from the album table where the joined fields are equal. That does not apply either. So with number 2 selected, I'm going to click OK. So right away, I see the 2 fields are going to be joined together. Enforcing referential integrity, we'll talk about that later. One-to-many is the relationship. When I click Create, look what happens. I see the relationship from album ID here, there's the 1, to the infinity symbol representing many in the songs table. So let's do the same now with the performers. We'll drag the performer ID over and into the songs table right on top of performer ID and release. So there we go. We've got the 2 fields, the 2 tables. we do want to enforce referential integrity. It will be one-to-many. The join type really doesn't matter. Both of these tables are empty right now, so we can only include rows where the join fields from both tables are equal. That'll work, and click OK. When I click the Create button, there's my new relationship. Now as I move these tables around, they keep their relationship. They're always joined. If at any time I need to edit one of these relationships, I can go to the connector and double-click. It opens back up the Edit Relationships dialog box. Of course, I could go up here on the ribbon and choose Edit Relationships as well. I'll click Cancel. All I need to do now is save those changes. When I click the Save button, all of my relationships will be stored, and I'm ready to move on. In the next lesson, we're going to spend a little bit more time digging deeper into referential integrity and why it's so important.